evening in Kenya, good afternoon somewhere else in the world, good morning, good afternoon everywhere in other parts that we are possibly within this different kind of time zones. Today is another Saturday, beautiful weather again. This is a blessing. And we're on a roller coaster. We have fantastic discussion today. Today we want to go into our roots. We want to go into culture and single parent. How is that been? How have you experienced it? What kind of discrimination do you get being a single parent and conflicting with your culture? The culture where you're born, the culture from where your child is born, how does that really play into how you do your parenting? As usual, my co-host with me, Conchita. How are you?
Hello.
First of all,
I
are you in
don't care. As
Nairobi?
you
You
say.
don't look like doesn't look like you're in Nairobi. Are you in Nairobi really?
I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations. I can neither deny nor confirm these allegations, but I am live.
Hmm.
So super excited about today, actually. And before we continue, guys, remember we are live on both YouTube and Facebook. And for those who are joining us, we also have this community and a Facebook group called Single Parenthood. So join in there. It's always about supporting our own. So, John King, you were speaking about culture. Nyambie.
Yeah, culture is a big contributor into how we do parenting. But before we go
Yeah.
into it, as Conchita said, please look at that button, click that button, like it, share with your
Mhm.
friends, let's have this conversation because it affects all of us in our neighborhoods. It affects all of us everywhere. And it's only through some of this kind of discussion that we can really get to know bits and pieces of what we do. So
Yes.
look, I mean, culture plays a big role, especially in Africa, when we are
Mhm.
talking about parenting, single parenting in general. And
Yeah.
to look at it, as we said in previous episodes, we talked about parenting. I mean, being a single parent comes from different forms. You have
Yeah.
situations whereby, a spouse was left, or somebody has died, or you're
Mhm.
separated, or unfortunate events
Mhm.
like rape and things like that. Or
Mhm.
you're a grandmother now and you're in a state whereby you have no choice, or you're a sister or a brother,
Yeah.
where you have no
Yeah.
choice to. But then there are also cultural norms that affect certain demographics of people, and we were talking
Yeah.
about it through our Facebook page. And I saw some of those conversations. And before we go into it, Conchita, I mean, you have some of those comments. Can you read some of those things that we looked at?
Before I actually go into those comments, it's more of like I remember what we did is we asked people in terms of like, why is it that most men will prefer dating, women who have daughters than, women who have kids? Like, what
Hmm.
is the actual big issue here? Because at the end of it all, most of the women, even last week, we had Noni, and Noni said that someone literally stepped out and be like, listen, this is how it is. I would update you, but you have boys. So, the situation is totally different. So a lot of people, and when we were having this conversation on our Facebook group that is Single Parenthood, most of the comments and most of all the engagement that was going on, people were talking about inheritance. Like
Mhm.
90% of everyone was talking about inheritance when it comes to like it being one of the issues when it comes to you dating someone with kids, with kids who are especially on the male side, so to the male having
Mm.
boys. So the thing is, I don't know, John King, like, what do you think about the situation? You are a man right now. If you're to date a woman and this woman, comes with a male child, what would be your reaction?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Unajua mambo ya shamba, shamba, shamba
Ah,
is a
come on.
big deal everywhere. I mean, everybody in the universe has fought for land, whether it is in the US, whether it was in Europe, hata hapa Kenya. Alex, Alex Owiti has joined in. Thanks you, Alex, for joining in. Good afternoon. Nice to lovely, lovely
Yes.
weather down here. Asiko, Asiko. Siko, welcome back again. Kwanza maneno hiyo post ya Amerix huko masculinity Saturday. Lion lectures. Thank you very much for joining. Well, look, I
Yes.
mean, the issue of culture, especially about land. Land is a very emotive
Ah,
subject. And
come on, man.
naturally, coach, listen,
Yes.
naturally, in Africa, men
Mm-hmm.
inherit land from their fathers, their forefathers, their generation, their tribes, and all that. Lazima
Mm-hmm.
tukubali. But you see, one of the main things that you bequeath, or the society and your tribe expects you to
Yeah.
bequeath your offspring, is a piece of land, especially your male child. Sasa, you have this situation whereby you have this you love somebody, and then she has a male child. Now you have to apportion. So if I went through some of the comments, that is what was coming out. The issue of land,
Yeah.
how do you apportion this? Because this would be considered by the society as a foreigner of
Mm-hmm.
some sort, as
Uh-huh,
somebody who is
uh-huh.
coming to invade or some sort. So
I
you
think it's BS.
yeah. So
I'm
by and
sorry.
large,
I think it's BS.
me, mm,
I think it's
sorry.
total BS. Like when every single thing, everyone is attributing it in terms of land. I'm like, okay, fine. So suppose you don't have this land. Let's talk about those people who don't even have a piece of land, but they still can date someone. Like a woman with a son. Like a single parent who is a lady with a son. Like, okay, you don't have inheritance. So
Mm,
what are you going to talk about? What is your excuse now? So because it does not make we can't keep on saying it's always about land, like land this, inheritance that, ABCD, But are those people who the woman is actually the breadwinner,
mm,
she earns more than the actual guy. So what are you bringing to the table that you're so much afraid of, being taken away from you? I think, to be honest, it's cowardness, and at the same time it's more of like less self-esteem. Because if you are like a man, I'm sorry, if you are man enough, you're dating this person, you're dating them again, like we said. But it's not about oh, what will happen. Suppose this child, you bring them up very well, and this is the person who will uplift you, remove you from that the thing that you are in. So what would you
mm,
say? So, like, what has this child inherited from you? And
mm,
when you talk about this land issue and all that, when we did this on our single parenthood group, yeah, so some of the comments are like this. We have Ibrahim who said, obviously, Toi kijana always ataishi kujua you aren't the real biological dad, ama mambo ya inheritance baadaye, what I mean, guys? Whereby you actually reply and say, but mtoi dem as well can grow knowing you are not the biological father, am I? And then we have Indi Mura who said, land inheritance. That makes most of them look like gold diggers who want to ride on women with girls so that they get their own dowry. Chill. Mine, nah, I'm the one to receive it. Which for me, I'm like, yes, like exactly. So we have daughters as
mm.
well. So what are we supposed to do? So mahari kikuja, watch kwe mahari ya mtoto, because you're afraid,
Yeah.
you're too coward enough, like you can't be able to accept that, you know what, I can be able to mentor this boy. As much as he's not my biological son, he could be my stepson, and I can create the most amazing bond ever. Like being a father is not always about blood. There are those men
Mhm.
who have never even seen their kids, but they are
So
good.
it's being a mother.
It's just being a father. It's just being
And
a
also
father.
being a mother.
Yes, and being a mother. And then we have was it Adrian who says, "What inheritance are we talking about? Do parents have anything to leave or pass down to their children anymore? Piece of land or what?" Whereby Martin answered her and said, "Some do not, some do, some don't. I'm sure it's physical inheritance and is possession." And Kingsley said, "There's ancestral that should be passed down, I guess." And then we have someone else who said it's all about inheritance. I have seen someone, saying bequeathing what they don't have. It's almost 100% sure that a man will want what they don't have. Sorry, will want a land to put a structure from their father, unlike the ladies who, after marrying, will settle somewhere else.
Mm.
First of all, if I'm getting married, which I am not planning on doing that, there is no way my whatever is going to, I don't know
You
what it is. I
know,
don't know. You tell me. Me, African culture.
Usikach Conchita, let me tell you.
No, me, I'm going
Usikach.
to catch because no, I'm going to catch because I don't like this sort of everyone is talking about this and that, inheritance this, inheritance that. So God forbid something bad happens to, like to you, what will happen? Like, who is going to take care of you? I feel like people should just be fathers, like, for a fact, it doesn't matter whether a daughter or, a guy. The rule is always simple. Every child has the right to know who their biological father or mother is, such that
Mm.
when they grow up, they know this is the person that is, bringing me up. They are happy. Like, for example, right now, I know for a fact my kid is gonna have a stepmother. I'm not gonna get mad at
Mm.
that. Excuse me, welcome to the family. I need the help. I don't know. John, can you tell me? Me nimeanza kukatch feelings by the. You know what? Let me just take a sip of wine and calm my nerves down.
Oh, no catch for nothing. Let me tell you. You see, uh, by the way, some people are asking if you could share the link on the single parenthood page on Facebook. So if you could do that. But you see, let me
Yes, we
tell
have
you.
our producer, Ceci Masi, who is working behind the scenes. Ceci, do your thing. Yes, you're saying?
Shout out, Ceci, do something. Look, the issue is this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is a conflict between where we are today in terms of modernity and culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
definitely, the so-called millennial age group
Mm-hmm.
is within the conflict age, where there is
Uh-huh.
cultural perspective of things and there's the
Mm-hmm.
modern aspect of things. So that's why you
Mm-hmm.
see comments like, we still have areas and communities where we have land inheritance as a big deal. But you
Mm-hmm.
see, the problem is the population continues to grow. Now you reach a situation whereby there is no land that you can really apportion, yeah, to inherit.
What next?
At the same
Let's
time,
minus the inheritance. Thank you. Uh-huh.
exactly. At the same time, orphans are also increasing by the day, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's growing into significant numbers. So what do
Yeah.
you do in that situation? So to understand it, we're in that kind of situation. But what do we know today? You know, issue of inheritance has been adjudicated by the laws of the country, for example,
Yes.
whereby today it's more or less come county governments. It's like a devolved system. Everybody gets a portion. Kila mtu anapata portion yake. Wewe kama wewe ni mtoto wangu unachukua hii, wewe kama mtoto wangu
Uh-huh.
unachukua hii, na mambo inaenda namna hiyo. You see,
Yes.
that way the law, I mean, government has dealt with it. The constitution dealt with it in that direction. But
Yeah.
going forward, we also have to be live to the fact that there's this community, that this group of people that are growing, that
Yeah.
inevitably we have situation whereby we have kids that we have to take care of, right? Some people
Yeah.
were born and do not know their fathers. Some do not know
Mm-hmm.
their mother, right? And
Uh-huh.
they've grown not knowing that. And we have several examples of such, including prominent people. And
Mm-hmm.
they were entitled to inheritance,
Yeah.
So this would be an excuse why somebody cannot accept a child, whether male or female. That's my standpoint. That's my standpoint. It cannot be. I do not understand why, right?
Let's take for example. Like
By the
let's
way,
let, let's let's
how do you know?
okay.
How sure are you that you basically belong where you think you belong?
But you see, John King, at the end of the day, kids are very innocent. by the time you are getting involved with someone, you know the exact situation that they're in. And unless they're those kind of people who, you know, like most of the time you'll find that people, you know, are that those people I know for a fact they will hide, you know, who they are seeing or that they have kids.
Mm,
The people who
mm,
later on, you know, they've gotten into a very serious commitment into something else, then someone will be like, oh, surprise, I have a child, you know? Such kind of surprises, you're like, okay, this is a very expensive surprise. You could have told me this surprise in the beginning for me to be able to know like where, you know, we are heading. But now imagine this situation whereby from like day one, you know, this and all this is happening. I actually, and I will say, for example, my stepdad took me in and my eldest brother, you know, like he married my mom with two kids. And you see,
mm,
they have been together for the last 25 years now. But you see, at the
mm,
end of the day, is my brother knows, like, you know what, at the end of it all, this is the person who has raised me. I owe this man respect. So
mm,
this is my dad, regardless of skin, different color. So it's more of like, it's how you bring up these people. It's like right now, John King, if you realize, like, you know, this father who I've been thinking is my dad the whole time, oh, is not my father. Then someone comes and be like, oh my God, hey, guess what? I'm your dad. Who will you respect more? It will be the person who has raised you. So, regardless of the gender of the child, I feel like we're in the place whereby we are in 2021. We're not in 20, sorry, we're not in like 19 or whatever, or 1800s. Like even back then, according to the African culture, they will take care, you know, of kids. But I know, for example, I personally, I've been in a situation whereby one of my ex fiancés, I remember, gave me an alternative. So it gave me, yeah, like an ultimatum. And he told me, listen, Conchita, the moment that you and I get, you know, together and we are moving forward, I want you to know that
mm,
I will take 100% responsibility of your daughter. And when I do that, I don't want anything to do, you know, I don't want her to be associated with her dad. And I was like, what in the name of Black Jesus do you think you are? You can't
mhm,
ask me for that. Like, it's like, no, you know, according to our culture, if I get to marry you, then this, you know, this is my kid as well. And I was like, I do understand that. But there's one thing you're not going to do. You are not going to make me decide that my child cannot be able to speak to her dad. You've got no effing right. Like this child has a father. She knows this is the dad. Yes, she will accept you because I have accepted you and she will respect you regardless. But when what comes to us, if you're with me and whatever, the two of you, the man who has raised her and her biological father, when she's about to get married, the two of you will walk her down the aisle because both of you have played a father figure. You know,
but
like we
but
need to
but
stop thinking like we are back in that time.
but this is where I also disagree with you. This is where I also
Mm,
disagree a little bit, because if you look at some of the examples that you're talking about, right? Flip
yeah.
it on the other side. Flip it on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you become. I mean, you're born, and you're born out of, let's say, what you call unfortunate events, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was incest situation or rape case or something like this. So a child grows
Yeah.
from a young age not really in tune with that particular knowledge, right? So
Yeah.
how,
Yeah.
if you are the mother, if you come into that mother's, if you come into that man's life, and that child basically doesn't really know, months old, a
Yeah.
year old or something, really know the mother, and there's no really need for that information at that time. Wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
you expect, Conchita, wouldn't you expect that you be treated as a full custodian mother of that particular child because you've accepted that responsibility? And
Mm-hmm.
bearing in mind that possibly the knowledge of the existence of that, the mother, the biological mother of that child, is still in
Yeah.
existence. So in that situation, you see, on your example that you're talking about, the child knows. That's a different case, because when a
Yeah.
child knows, a child knows, right? You cannot change that. And
Okay,
even
as
if
you
you
said,
change that,
uh-huh.
right?
But you see, like you
So this is where I
said, those are
disagree
two
with you.
different situations, Ken. Those are totally different
Yeah,
situations. Like in my case, that's what I'm saying. In my case, it's totally different. And I had an option and an opinion, like, you know, to make a certain decision. But now this one here, this is someone who doesn't know their, you know, who their father is or who their mother is. You know, sometimes
mm,
is it depends of who is the person who is raising you. Because like you said, there's so many kids out here who have been born out of rape, there's so many people who have been born out of incest. There's so many people who have been born out of deceit at the same time. There's so many people.
mm,
It's so much. But you see, at the end
mm,
of the day, we have no control of what is to, like who is in charge of where and what. However,
mm,
when it comes to this child growing up and all that, I believe the person who is taking care of this person, they have the right to, because that is their guidance, so they have full 100% rights. Like, I cannot be raised by my grandmother my entire life, and then later on, when I'm like, now I've made it, or now I've grown up, at home, toto wetu, excuse me, where have you been? you know, umekuwa wapi hiyo time yote? And I've seen a lot of that thing. For me, it's very simple. It's either you're in this picture. If you're not, please just stay hidden. But that those positions whereby people keep on, like they want to box themselves in later on when this child has made it. But now they
mm,
forget, like, you were not there when this child was growing up. This is the man. He might not be their biological father, but this is the person who has been able to bring them up. It could be their brother, it could be their uncle, it could be, just a fatherly figure. My friend, you need to give them the respect that they deserve. Like, weka kando, enda tu penye ulikuwa. Don't come there yapping.
Well, you know
Right,
that
what are you
that
talking about? Oh, what are you doing?
you see that's the
No,
emotional
I'm being
way
serious.
of looking at
It's not
there's a
emotion.
comment.
It's realistic. A lot of people
There's a
tend to
comment.
take
People
advantage
go for
of
it.
the time. Yes. So we have Asiko who says, they've said don't date a woman with kids because blood is thicker than water. So the kids will leave you regardless of how long you've been together for to go find their father. Man, come on, guys. Which is true sometimes. And that has happened. I've seen people who are like, you know what, I want to know my parents. That's why, again, I
Look,
keep on saying, stop hiding your kids from their actual parents. Don't do that.
because you see, the thing is this: inevitably, that question will come up. Inevitably,
Yeah.
the question of kids as kids grow, they get to know.
Yeah.
He's right.
Mm,
Asiko is right. Blood sometimes becomes thicker than water, and you have to be alive to that fact as you
yeah.
grow. So when you're taking up that responsibility, you need to take that responsibility, and that's the reason why I'm saying to some. That's why I disagree with you, Conchita, on the
Ah,
aspect of taking care. When somebody says, I want to take care of this, so I'm taking responsibility for it. So you have to be alive to those kind of facts. You have to be
but you
alive to those
see,
kind of facts.
John Kane, my issue is I don't mind someone coming in and taking care of every single thing. My issue with this was the fact that in the process of you doing this, you demand zero communication from the other parent who this child knows. That is totally not acceptable, because you see, yes, you're taking care of her and all that, but you have to understand that as this child has been growing up to the point that they are right now, they know who the other parent is. So you can't come to
But
me demanding. Yeah, that is so wrong. And I've seen a lot of
but
people do that. They demand. They're like,
but
no,
this is the
achana
question.
simwongeleshe. But why? Si mimi namwongelesha, ni mtoto wake. I don't want to talk to
But
this person.
but this is a question I have for you. Where do
Yes.
you see? That's the thing. Where do you draw the boundary? Because there's a conflict already. There's a conflict of somebody who is saying, "Look, I love you and I want to be with you, with your child."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Male,
Yeah.
female, doesn't matter, right? And I'm taking full control and responsibility for it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So where do you want to draw this particular line? And I think that's where the conflict comes. How would you deal with this kind of situation? I do not know. I do not
I
know. But
let me
because
tell you.
yeah.
Let me tell you, Joaquin, at the end of it
Mm,
all, like you said, it's
mm.
about drawing the lines and boundaries. Listen, I am not interested in this particular person. I've got no interest at all. But what we have, it's a bond that, whether we like it or not, it's a forever bond. You understand? So
Mm,
he may not be my favorite person, she may not be your favorite person, or whatever it is, the kind of situation that you're in. However,
mm,
what you just don't do is you don't cut 100% communication because the other person is taking responsibility. Yes, you are willing to take this responsibility. I really don't mind. But occasionally, I want it to be in such a place whereby her dad can come pick her up when you are there. You guys can have a beer, talk about football and whatever it is. Just have a blended family. If you're not there, fine, then don't do it. You don't have to get an eye to eye. But the thing is, the respect is this person understands I am with you. They're never going to cross the line. All that these people are doing is taking care of their kid. That's it. Unajua, it's never about each other's emotional situation. It's about this child. Like, let's take for example a situation right now. Like, you are raising your own child alone, okay? Then someone comes into your life, and then this person demands, like, you know what? Oh no, this child has to be able to do this for me because, you know what? According to African tradition, yes, because now I have been remarried to you, I am now officially the mother of this child. Would you want like your child to forget who a mother is?
My situation is different because my mine is more factual as it stands.
Uh-huh.
So the reality will remain, and there are certain memories in a child that you cannot take away, right? But
Exactly.
the desire to have and belong to a family unit is definitely there. So those are
Uh-huh.
things that can always be keyword, but you cannot take away that particular aspect of her life. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot take away that aspect of her discernment of the events that she can remember, right? So I wouldn't definitely want a situation where she would definitely forget. Uh, Equally to me, I mean, if in my case, I would definitely not want the same to happen to my partner
Yeah.
if in such a scenario. So
Mm.
that's, to me, it's different. But you see, I've been in a situation of this kind of situations because uh, I was in a relationship for a very long time, and my first daughter, my stepdaughter, basically, and
Mm-hmm.
and
I was
when
avoiding coming to that topic. To be honest, I was walking on eggshells on that one. I really wanted to ask you, but please carry on.
yeah, so when we met, of course, there was a child already, and I took responsibility for the child at the time, right? And we
Yeah.
had a conversation. So we had an open conversation. I asked all the questions that I wanted to ask. So I needed to know what level of
Yeah.
boundaries that this would play. But of course, in between the intrigues of relationship, things play out differently. And at the end of the day, she knew who our biological father was, and again, to me, because we had already had that conversation, it was now a
Mm-hmm.
matter of, okay, so now how do we deal with this situation, and how do we let this be and let her also enjoy that kind of relationship. So
Yeah.
it was difficult, of course, but it kind of worked in one way or another. Unfortunately, she didn't live long enough to see that. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying is, times have changed. You see, times
Yeah.
have changed, and we can no longer discriminate about gender when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
children and taking care of children. This is an old norm that, in my opinion, I think should die, and shouldn't be really let to be controlling people's life every now and then. So I don't know. I think that's my opinion. But again, you see, Conchita, the aspect of culture. I know
Yeah.
we've talked about children and boy child and the complexity, which I think is completely uh, shouldn't be there. Things have changed. We need to
Mm.
change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
We need to.
the aspect of culture is very diverse, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in our day-to-day life, I was having a conversation also with a friend of mine this week, and she kind of told me that, being a single parent, and being religious and being in a religious society, she finds it
Mm-hmm.
so complicated to really get involved into church activities, into choirs and things. I know this is not for every church, but she told me this is happening. Yeah, and I talked to a few people. Of course, three of them confirmed that the case. Some actually even left some of these things. I don't know what's happening within our society. There are level of cultural norms that we hold so dear that kind of affect us, and doesn't really recognize that there are people who are actually raising children by themselves by different kind of means,
Let me tell
right?
you one thing, John Ken. I will tell you this for free, and something I've noticed. There are even estates whereby you can't live when you're a single parent.
Mm,
Because you see, in Africa, how we're being raised and taught that, our family is supposed to be, father, mother, and children. But now, this is the same culture that tells us, like for example, in my case, I'm divorced. I am a very proud divorcee. I am okay. My marriage never worked out, and it's like it's ended. It's ended. Be good. Let's raise this child in different homestead. But there's still places whereby I am not accepted because one, huyu
mm.
ako kana bwana wake, unaona, huyu anajifanya hapa hivi
Mm.
anataka kulea mtoto peke yake, huyu hapa hivi anajifanya kwanza there's a line that's like, oh, huyu ajui atazeeka. And I'm like, okay, So I've
Lazima.
seen, yes, I've seen the African culture whereby traditionally how we raise is we raise that this is how it's supposed to happen. But in reality is things are changing. Nowadays, akuna kuvumilia 24/7. If something is not working out, we're in that place whereby we have evolved to the point of like, okay, it's not working, it's done. So what is the next stage? Okay, let's separate, let's move our different ways. Like divorce is very famous these days. I don't know. I don't know how many I know so many people who are divorced and you're like, let's have a drink. Like it's a WhatsApp community. It's okay. Welcome to the society. But you see, we're
I don't
embracing,
agree.
which is okay. But you see, John Kane, that's you. There's no way I will sit in a marriage that I'm about to die and then just be there because Africa culture, we are not allowed to leave our marriage. So wewe vunjwa, wewe kapo, wewe kuwa kiwete, umeumizwa, but no, at the end of it all, you can't communicate. Lazima ukae chini, upike chai. Imagine you from being beaten like a donkey and then it's still expected to be like, wifey and all that. We're in a place whereby we can all be able to speak. Imagine you're a man who is married to a woman who is like, listen, me, I will kill you. Every single day, unaenda kulala mpaka unajilokea kwa bedroom. I mean, why are you together? Like, if it's
Mm.
not working, it's okay. But you see, the thing is, being a single parent right now, there's some places whereby you're still not accepted. You're still not accepted. The places whereby you
Mm.
can't even you can't do some you can't even hata kwenda to join a community, just to join a social gathering. They'll be like, it's only, it's we don't accept this here. And that time uko hapo hivyo umenyenyekea, uko like, it's okay, I am
Husband
thank you so
snatchers.
much. Yes, husband snatchers as we're being called. But sometimes they're like, sweetheart, I might be your husband type, but it doesn't mean he's my type. Like, I'm just here because I want to grow as an individual. I'm here because I want to learn. Because at the end of it all, it's always about learning. Because I am not correct. There's so many things I'm still to learn. I'm still an amateur. I need to
Mm.
learn, and the best I can be able to learn is from these people. Like, if I can be able to get a good, mentor who will tell me, Conchita, you know what, this and this doesn't work this way, this and this doesn't work this way, and all that. But because of how we've been raised up, being a single parent, you condemn. Like the places right now, I can't be. Atikwaya, nimeenda pale hivyo, nimeimba alto yangu.
Mm.
This voice, they were like, no, this is a family oriented. But what is family? Like, let's say, for example, right now you are raising a daughter. That is your family. You don't have a wife, John King. So you can't take a daughter to certain schools. You can't take a daughter out because people will be looking like, we are quite pedophile, and it's your damn child.
Mm.
So you understand why I am so mad at our culture sometimes. Like I am living, man. Like I am.
You know,
You see? There we go. Immaculate is saying, Conchita, you're very correct on the divorce issues. Thank you.
I
Immaculate.
I still do not agree with you and Immaculate. Immaculate, thank you for that comment, but I still don't. I mean,
Traditions.
I
To
think I don't think
2021, John King, my friend. To go
I'm a,
2021. Move on
I'm
with times.
I'm
We're
a
not still
Catholic
in the
man.
1800s. Move on
I'm
with
not going
times.
to, I'm not going to agree with this because I believe that marriage is the greatest calling. You get all sorts of things: trials, temptations, sadness, all tribulations, and
Oh my
it's a
God.
good unit. It's a good
How
unit
is
for
it,
us.
my friend, by the way?
I'm headed towards that direction. So
It's
I know
because you're a hopeless romantic. You see, at the end of it all, you are a hopeless romantic, and I know that. But some of us will think with our heads, drinking. Like the people whereby I have seen their marriage blossom into, for so many years. The people who have been in partnership for so many years. The thing is, we really don't need a piece of paper to show that, like you are happy or you're a happier person. People get married for the wrong reasons. Some get married because they're afraid of being like a single parent. They're like, hey, hapana, nahitaji huyu mtoto akuwe na baba ama akuwe na mama mwenye. This woman will help me raise this child. This man will help me financially to be financially stable for this and all that. But you see, the thing is, if it's not working out, it's okay. The question is, okay, so what is society going to do to accept some of us that things never worked out? Like, yes, we are here. I am here, John King. I'm a single parent. I understand, but it's okay. So I can't sing at the choir. Aya basi, si wache basi nifagie kanisa. You know? Like, accept us. Like, it's okay. I cannot be able to do what? Oh, you cannot be able to make the speech. It's okay. Let me write the speech. Let someone else read. It's just about inclusivity. But you see, with the African culture, it's more of like we don't want association. Like, no, she's not fit. He's not fit, to be with us. But you see, at the end of it all, it's more of like, yes, we are here. Yes, we are raising these kids. At the end of the day, these are kids who are going to be your sons' wives. These are kids who are going to be your daughter's husbands. And they're being raised with different people. They're going to unite. So it's a community. Let's blend in. That's what I'm just saying. So you and your divorce issues, well, let's talk after 3 years.
I'm a very hopeful person, and I do believe in the institution. Let me tell
Like
you, you
when he
see,
told you last time, you'll be heartbroken. Hi.
well,
Don't
heartbreaks are
worry.
for human beings. You get
I
heartbroken, you
have
get
this
up,
for
and
you.
move on. You move on. No
Yes.
one is basically welded, through a welding thing, through a welding process.
Mhm.
So you can always break up. I mean, things can go south. Things happen. But the thing
Mhm.
is, the level of discrimination that people face, single parent face,
Yeah.
is something of great concern because it transverses all the way from accepting that there is a child of different gender and that child
Mhm.
also deserves parental care from both ends. Understanding the aspect of it, people have benefited, and you're absolutely right. Some people have been very successful in the long run and found
Yeah.
ways and means of gaining their own kind of glory. But then
Mhm.
you see situations whereby, as a single parent, you are not allowed by society. It's not something that people speak out openly, like we
Yeah.
condemn it, but you can see from their actions and the
Mhm.
way they relate, you know,
Mhm.
the kind of, I mean, in diverse, in very different societies, in different cultures, in different countries,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh-huh.
people still look upon like you don't have an opinion, you cannot contribute to society, you cannot
Yeah.
you cannot hold anything of stature,
Yeah.
the intellect has gone away. Sasa huwezi
Yeah.
fikiria, those things, and I think
Mhm.
it's a very bad way of looking at things, and somehow in the long run it brings out also the aspect of psychological effect to it. Like if you are
Yeah.
you're new into it, you feel those kind of rejections, maybe
Yeah.
your place is going to the church, and the
Yes.
community there is equally not letting you do what you need to do in the church. Like for example,
Yeah.
if in your case you want to go and sing, and you can sing with this group of people that you want to do be
Okay,
comfortably.
what are they? I'm even afraid of going to that choir because the moment you go there and then maybe your voice is outstanding, utambua una shout choir, you want to show off, and it's just like, listen, okay, first of all, guys, my voice is amazing. I'm singing for the Lord,
Ukamate
I'm
waumini.
here for the Lord. And for those who are joining us right now, remember to keep on sharing this conversation, share with your friends, share with everyone. We are talking about African culture and how it has affected some of the decisions, as a single parent. The places we accepted, the places zingine maybe we might go overboard. Because sometimes as a single parent you tend to want to prove more. Like, listen, I can also do this. But it's all about us. It's a community that we're trying to change. We're trying to see how we can be able to create something that people understand this is what you're going through and it's enough. We are evolving. So it starts with us. So keep on sharing the conversation. And remember, we have a Facebook group called the Single Parenthood, whereby you can be able to join and put in there your feedbacks, your thoughts, what you've been going through, because at the end of the day, we are there to help each other. Now, back to
Very
you, John
true.
Key.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's a comment from Immaculate. I think the solution starts from sensitization of the society. And I think that's absolutely correct. That's absolutely
Sure.
correct. The society
Yeah.
is changing. Generations, we've changed over generations. We have to change our
Yeah.
mindset. We have to change the
Yeah.
way we think. But before we get into that, Conchita, I wanted to find out, how did
Mhm.
this kind of rejection and backbiting affect you as a parent? Initial stages. I know now you've grown thick skin, so you can defend yourself. But
Yeah, I
how
know.
was it for you in the beginning?
Like I said, you see, for me, I got married at a really young age, and I knew that like marriage is everything. Like my duty is to be a wife. My duty is to do A, B, C, D. But it's something people don't. The people tend, yeah,
Marriage
people
is
tend to forget. Yes, people tend to forget. Marriage is not for everyone. Marriage is work. So you see, there's a lot of growing that I was doing. But you see, as I grow and as I was growing up, that things I realized, okay, this is not working for me, this is working for me, this is not working for me. But like I had
mm,
said before, by the time when my marriage was ending, it wasn't a good thing. And people see me nowadays all happy and smiley, and they think, oh, she's just living her best life. Oh, she's just having a wine. But if you see me taking my wine, leave me alone, because I worked hard for that. Like I deserve that happiness. So I remember for the psychological part, it's more of like it was so traumatizing. And I've said this before, and I've spoken to a lot of people, and I'm very honest about it. I became very suicidal. I tried to commit suicide, actually. I tried to kill
mm,
myself. I went into depression. It was so bad that, I had to get a grip hold of myself and say, like, what, I need help. Like, it's about me. Because then I'll think, like, okay, if I'm not there, what's happening? Like, I was put in a bad situation whereby I have auctioneers knocking at my door. I have people outside here saying how I can't keep a man, how I'm useless, how I don't know what's happening. I have relatives out here who are saying, what, people don't walk out of their marriages, people fight for this. You have to be there, you have to be a wife, you have to do this. I have people out here who are like, oh no, at the end of the day, oh, you think you're going to raise this kid by yourself. You don't even have a job, you don't even have money. So there's all of them coming together. They were too much. It was too much for me. I couldn't take it. I was like,
mm.
there's so much I can be able to do as a human being, but there's so much I can be able to take. But you see, the thing is, at the end of it all, it's always about you have to grow a thick skin. So before I
Yeah.
reach where I am right now, like I would really care. I usually have this thing, and everyone knows. I always say F society, and when I say that, people are like, oh no, culture this, culture. I'm like, no, because I know what following the traditions put me through. I was, that alone when I was there, like, like taking whatever amount of pills for me to be able to die. I was alone.
Mm,
I was alone because I felt like a failure. Everyone was pointing fingers at me. Everyone was like, you. Everyone is like, hey, atana mtoto, amenyanganywa mtoto. Oh, she's a bad mother. Oh, she's this. And you see, the thing is, I kept on trying to prove to people that no, it's not like that. Like, this is too much. So
mm.
my my mental state was bad. It was so bad because I didn't want to lose this. I wanted to make things work. But you see, at the end of the day, it took for me to understand that things don't always go according to plan. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be happy with a fifth husband. I don't know. I'm open minded. It doesn't mean my first husband was everything. You
No, I
understand?
agree with you. You shouldn't have so many. You shouldn't have so many.
Exactly.
The Bible is very entertaining.
I'm just
Correct.
saying, listen, if you go watching just a little bit, try next. It's okay. It's allowed. But you see, at the end of it all, it's always about what is important and what is not. And for me, the psychological part was the fact that I had a lot of growing to do, and I had to, like deal with it as myself. But before I could be able to reach her by like right now, I can be able to talk about these things without like shedding a tear, without feeling like a loser, without feeling like, oh my God, I failed my family. Then it wasn't easy. And that's why I really, 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 really can't wait for next week for us to have a psychologist, with us to be able to talk about all
Yeah,
this. Because this was just an intro, you
yeah.
know?
This was our intro to the next guests that will be coming up, and I mean, Kingsley, thank you very much. Some deep talking here. I appreciate that. I mean, we have to tackle some of these things. Some of these things that are
Mm,
affecting people, they're affecting us in
yeah.
culture, in our society. And the only option is for us to have a conversation. And we are getting up to conversations whereby we talk about different kind of effects that we face as single parents. You might
Yeah.
also reach a point whereby you become a single parent, and this
Mhm.
kind of conversations where we bringing up some experts, you audience that also want to share your stories, share your
Yes.
thoughts. You can always reach us and come to the show. Let's have a conversation and let's share. You possibly
Yes.
went through some of the things, you've gone past through those things. You can share your success stories and where
Mm,
you think you can. Let's change the narrative. The society is growing, people are dying, people are divorcing every day, people are all manner of things are happening in our society. So let's have the conversation going. Keep
mhm.
engaging us. We have our Facebook page at Single Parenthood. Follow us on Like on Media. You can find
Yes.
us also YouTube, and leave a
Whereby we
comment.
are currently live, actually.
Yeah, we are live at the moment. Conchita,
Yes.
this is really, really good. I mean, really, really good. Thank you really so much for sharing some of these kind of frustrations you're having in the
Mhm.
society. And I look forward to next week having a guest to talk about areas that affects us psychologically and how can we overcome some of those psychological challenges and where do we
True.
go,
Yeah.
where can people get this kind of help from. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I had fun. I don't know whether you did.
I
Good
did. I
talk.
like. I always like sharing. Like talking about these things because I always keep on saying is sometimes I feel like I went through worse, but the people out there who have even gone through like much more worse, situation than I have. It's not a
Mm,
competition. It's not about comparing. It's not about. It's more about, okay, so this has happened. How do we create a community that can be able to help all of us? And basically, this was just the introduction for our next topic, which is about psychological effect. Because let me tell you, being a single parent is hard. Sometimes I just take the pill and I just go like, you know, because I'm like, oh my god, I need to scream it out. It's allowed. So remember
mm,
to click the notification bell because we are going to be live next week with a psychologist, a profession actually. And in case you have any questions, in case you have any comments, in case you have anything to add on, if you want to put in a story, remember we have a WhatsApp group, and the number is right there. And then, as John Kina said, we have this amazing Facebook group where we ask questions that we want to deal with as a single parent. And remember, again, you are not alone. We are in this together. Okay.
post a
So again,
comment on the page. Post a
yeah,
question on
that's
the
the time that we
page.
had today.
Let's come to talk. Yeah. Bye
I
bye,
know.
Coach. Have a
Bye,
good
guys.
week.
See you next week on Saturday, same time.
Bye bye.
Oh my god.